feel free to provide it in the chat, and probably Vijay will help me read out any answers. Yeah, thank you. So let me share my screen and get started here. I hope you're able to see my slide. Can one of you confirm me, please? Yeah, thanks, Vijay.
Yes.
So, awesome. Let me put my sidebar here onto the side. Okay, so this topic, which is called leading your journey as a coach, right? And I have this picture of an elephant walking. So what thoughts come to your mind, just as a beginning teaser? Any thoughts about how do you connect this picture with coaching journey? Feel free to provide your inputs in the chat.
I mean, walking alone in the forest as a big animal. I mean, in Telugu, we call it as Gajaraju, the biggest animal in the forest.
Yeah. Okay, that's a nice correlation. Yeah.
And most of the time in organizations, there will be a big organization, but Agile Coach will be only one person transforming, working with multiple business units. So yeah, that fits.
That's quite interesting. Yeah. If you're a one person, probably you'll be hunted by by many strong animals in the organization. Yeah, you got to have your gang.
So yeah, so looking at elephant, I think like a man with a huge knowledge, with abundance, and guiding in the right direction, heading in the right direction, we can say. Yeah.
Right. And also Arun says, bring in the changes. Praveen says experience. Yeah, I think good thoughts there. Okay, keep those thoughts going, because we're going to connect to this at some point, especially when we talk about leading your journey. Right, this is more relevant from a leading in my preparation here. So it's good start here. Let me jump into the content here. A quick, I think there's an intro slide I prepared for those of you who are seeing me for the first time. Some of you I'm definitely familiar. Also, I spoke in Agile Waters webinars exactly 1 year back, November 20th, 2021, and this is almost a year. And Vijay rightly recognized that I was busy with so many initiatives, so I'm really glad to be here. So since the time I spoke last time and now, I've just progressed in my coaching journey, and the journey is still on. And I have a journey to describe and share and hopefully learn from your perspectives. So that's a little background about myself. In fact, my recent stint was with hardware agility. So this is what is indicating here. I recently spent a lot of time researching about how do we bring agility in the hardware design when we want to manufacture physical hardware products. So, and it's quite interesting going on here. Right, so today in the next 40 to 50 minutes, we're going to talk about these three key things, which is what I had published in my abstract. Coaching as a profession and a career. And I want to distinguish here profession and a career. They both are quite different, but yet related. And of course, the journey and the pitfalls in the journey. And next, how do we lead our own journey? Because like that elephant, you'll be probably alone in the journey of figuring out how do I progress as a coach. But when you're serving, you cannot be alone. You have to be with everyone else, right? So we'll talk about that and the distinction there. And finally, I'm going to share the possibilities that we have, probably unlimited possibilities, if we pursue this coaching as a profession. What's possible, right? And I'm going to talk about what became possible in my own case and what's in store for any of you who are enthusiastic in getting into this profession with more commitment and seriousness. Okay, and maybe towards the end some Q&A, but I will keep this interactive till the end. Okay, I see some more chat messages here. Yeah, that's Vijay's message. So let me move on to the first section, which is coaching as a profession and a career. Now, again, an interactive question. What could be the difference between considering coaching as a profession and a career? Coaching as a profession versus a career. Any thoughts?
Career is long term, and profession it's like for the earning purpose currently.
Okay. Okay. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, so this is Arun here.
Yeah, Arun. Yeah.
Okay, according to me, both are interlinked. Okay, career is something that you build as you move along.
Yeah.
Profession is what you do as for your bread, for your living,
Uh-huh.
right? So in this case, both are interlinked.
Yeah.
And one another, each other support. I mean, both the things support each other. You build your career, and that becomes your profession.
Yeah. 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 Definitely, they are interlinked. Thank you, Arun, for sharing that. So the reason why I brought this both the words here is, for me, coaching was started as a profession, and my view or perspective about profession is it's something that you like and you would like to go deeper, and you're passionate about it and you're interested. Now, whether that profession gives you a good career, meaning jobs, or something that you can financially support, or where you can grow in the same profession, that's a career. And the reason why I brought these two words and related to coaching is, when you look at coaching as a profession, then you are mostly influenced by the art of it, the passion of the profession, and the depth and the knowledge and so on. When you're thinking about career, coaching as a career, then you'll also be challenged to think about how can it fulfill my financial needs, my professional growth needs in a corporate world, for example, right? Career is more job oriented and the job based growth oriented, whereas profession is something that is like limitless. You can keep doing this until you die. That's how I look at it, because career will stop at some point, but you can continue the profession. You can be a professional coach even if you're not working in a job, for example, right? So, and it gives you certain distinctions when you want to proceed in your coaching journey. That's why I just brought this here. But again, it's not very complex, or I don't want to make it more complicated. So there are a few more inputs here. Yeah, you work for others, career, profession, you build for your living and you're passionate about it. Yeah, that's exactly. So when you're looking at it as a career point, sometimes you'll be driven by the pressure points related to job and so on. But when you look at it as a profession, you probably think about balancing your financial needs and your passion and what you love and so on. So just a small distinction there. Thank you for your inputs there. So now let me just quickly walk through my journey just in 5 minutes, maybe. I try to keep things simple. Vijay talked about being structured. I put a structure, but within the structure, I want to maintain simplicity, because simplicity is one of the basic foundation principle in the whole of my Agile career, which has helped me being a practitioner, a coach, or an Agile professional. Right? Simplicity is the most complex skill that you want to learn and practice, because it's not simple to be simple. And that's really helping me. So I usually, whenever I get some idea, I want to present something, I just go to whiteboard. And if some of you can notice, there is an image here, like a shade. This is my wife capturing this photo for me when I was busy today, and I had not prepared fully. So she just sent me a photo. And in your coaching career, you need such supporters, whether it's spouse, whether it's your kids, your friends, your colleagues, your mentors, because a journey is meaningful and funful when you have people along with you to support you, to challenge you and to give you feedback and so on. And I'm quite proud to say that my wife is one such a supporter of many supporters. Yeah. So the kind of journey that I want to present here, I started my career around 2002, and luckily, just 1 year, September 2003 is where my Agile journey also started, with me working for a team called Valtech India team, where I was part of an extreme programming XP team, if some of you know, as one of the flavors of Agile. And I didn't know that it was called XP or Agile for almost 1 year until Craig Larman, who was chief scientist at Valtech and who was mentoring the architects and programmers of that team, visited India. And only then I came to know what I was doing was actually called Agile, and in particular, extreme programming practices. That is how I started with my Agile journey, not the coaching journey per se, but more of a programmer, Agile developer, and happy, enjoying, learning. And I never had a look back because my foundation was very strong. So as you can see in my entire journey, there are quite a few pitfalls. There are quite a few deeper ones, like maybe 1, 2, and 3. So 2008, if some of you remember, it was a global recession. There were a lot of challenges while I was trying to hone my Agile skills, like an Agile developer and Scrum Master. I started my Scrum exploration around 2005 end when I was in IBM, and then 2006. Scrum was just about to, make noises in India, and I was in the probably first or second batch of Asia where I got certified as a certified Scrum Master. That was my first introduction to official Scrum. Before that, it was my self-study in 2005. So I got so interested. I liked it, and I actually was practicing Scrum before I went and got certified. So I wanted to really take that very passionately and start helping people because I was liking it. I was getting help. My team was getting benefited. So I started using that and teaching that to others around 2006. But 2008, as some of you know, it was a global recession, very challenging, and I managed it well. But there was a dip in my focus from Agile and Scrum progress standpoint. But right after 2008, right in the middle, during the recession, I bounced back, and then I again put my focus back. And along my entire journey, 2000 February 2010, probably I think I would like to highlight some of the key points in my journey. First was the start as an Agile practitioner. Next was February 2010, where I actually co-founded my company. I quit as an employee and co-founded my first company. And that actually, I don't know, it was kind of a blessing in disguise, because throughout my journey, my entrepreneurial experience has really, really helped me to become an effective coach. And I'll tell you why, how it helped me, and why probably we need to embrace entrepreneurship mindsets if we want to become good coaches. But that's a key milestone, okay? And my official coach journey, that means I was called as a coach, and I got my first independent consulting assignment in August 2010 when I had to coach Tesco International in Bangalore. There were about 14 teams working towards a common solution, and I and a fellow coach from India and a couple of from UK, I believe, were working together. That was my coaching journey. It started in 2010. And if you look at the journey, 2008, there was a major change. From 2010 to 2018, like many of you, if you're already into coaching, I was sailing through that whole ocean of what is coaching, what is consulting, should I do the certification, or how is certification related to coaching, and so on, and what do clients expect? Because I was already an entrepreneur, I was not an in-house or an employee. So I always wondered what clients expect from a coach. How do I really coach? How do I distinguish between consulting and coaching, and all these confusions? And that's why you see so many pitfalls. You also have to sell your service as a coach. You also have to address the scaling challenges in between, and you have to sell coaching as a service, blah blah blah. And there was no one to guide me actually from a coaching perspective, although there were many people who were doing consulting. But that journey was worth, because I had a lot of discoveries. And 2018 is where there was another turning point where, along the journey, I had actually got into coaching managers and leaders because of necessity. And 2018 is where I took a decision to become a full-fledged leadership coach. Although I was doing that from quite a few years, 2018, I wanted to join a community of Agile leadership journey guides where I refocused my career into leadership coaching, because that was the need of the hour, which is still the need of the hour today across the globe. So I opened my second company, and I also become an ALJ guide, Agile Leadership Journey Guide. Plus, I transform myself from starting from Scrum Master to an Agile Coach to what I call now myself as an Agility Coach. And that's a big transition. All these things happened in 2018, and a couple of years back, as I mentioned, I got into hardware agility, and I'm practicing both of this. Now, if you can see here, the coach in me started around 2010, and the coaching journey is still on. But there are quite a few interesting things that have happened in this, and I would like to share them as some of the pointers about leading your journey as a coach, and also what's possible as a coach. That's where I would probably revisit this. But maybe just before we move on to the leading part, just wanted to highlight two important aspects I thought could be useful for the listeners here. One is three big mistakes. I made several mistakes, probably countless. I just wanted to highlight three of them, which are quite common mistakes many people might do, and you may relate to your own experiences here. So assuming that consulting is coaching, that's a common mistake. I don't know if you guys agree. Please type yes if many of you agree. You could be assuming that, or your clients could be assuming that. In this case, it was my assumption and also client's assumption, which I realized later. Consulting is coaching. How many of you agree with that?
JP, I'm driving 200% agree.
200% agreement. Is that correct?
Yes, agree with you.
Yes. Yeah. So that's one thing. Assuming that consulting is coaching, which is a big assumption, which can cost you. Assuming that all clients want coaching. Now, I have not written intentionally need coaching. In fact, everyone needs coaching, including a coach. I need coaching. All clients need coaching. But do they really want coaching? Do they want to be coached? Again, that's an assumption. And that is going to be costly for you. That is going to be painful if you do the assumption. That's a mistake I did, and I learned from it. And another big mistake that I recognized, I don't know if any of you made this mistake or even consider this as a mistake. When we try to coach people, and you see some of the people and with who come with some attitude, or not willing to be coached, or disinterested or disengaged, etc. One easy practice is to consider them as uncoachable. Put a brand on their forehead that they are uncoachable. That's a mistake that I realized. Although I didn't do it too much, but I did a couple of times, and I realized it's a mistake. And I'll tell you why that's a mistake in a few minutes. So these are the three mistakes that I wanted to highlight, which is from my journey. Okay. And this is like overall journey, which is a mixture of consulting and coaching. And the other three things I want to highlight are three big lessons I learned as a coach in my journey. The first one is the opposite of that, which is consulting is not coaching. They are two different things. And keep in mind, I'm using the word just coaching in the first line. I'm not calling about agile coaching. If you refer to the agile coaching as a profession, as a career, which is probably one of the subsets of coaching, you can do many coachings. Agile coaching requires consulting, but coaching is different from consulting. But agile coaching in real world requires consulting skills and requires consulting service. That was my lessons, one of the lessons I learned. And the last one is coaching requires enormous patience. And that's when I realized this, I started to make coaching as my lifetime profession, lifetime career. I'll probably discover this, study this, and learn what is coaching probably till my last breath. That's the kind of decision I've made myself. In fact, it's not even a decision, it's a choice I've made. I chose to be a coach for the lifetime. So these are the three big lessons. And we will actually see why these were mistakes and why these lessons are important when we go into the leading part. But before I do that, I just wanted to check with you if any of you have any questions at this point. We still have about half an hour, so we should be able to.
Maybe JP, if you could add on how you stumbled upon these big mistakes, right? I mean, what was like the consequences of learning them a bit? I know it's time bound, but if you could touch upon a bit on that, it would be interesting.
Yeah. Thank you, Kumaresh. So, how you stumble upon, you do this every day because that's how clients, many of them hire you as a coach, and they make you do a lot of trainings, or they make you do a lot of post-it sticky notes, paste it on the wall, right? Which is not coaching, which is not even agile coaching. Forget about general coaching. That's because of the confusion they have. And in my view, a simple word distinction that I can give you, and later I'm going to give a deeper definition about what coaching is, which I've discovered. Then it'll be more clear. But for now, consulting, think of that as solving someone's problem using your knowledge. Coaching is enabling or helping someone to solve their own problems and probably teaching them how to solve on their own, right? So in the consulting, you are doing it, and in the coaching, you are creating a space for the other people to do it themselves, and they can do it on their own even after you go out, right? So if you can keep that simple distinction, and later I'll come back to that. So you stumble upon these things, and the consequences are you end up coaching where you need to consult, and you end up consulting where you need to probably coach. And you also get confused on whom should we coach. You also get confused, why is someone not willing to be coached? Because what you're trying to do is consulting, and what they want is an ability to do things themselves. But there are not many people who want that. So you will be in a big mess. Those are the consequences if you are not aware about these mistakes. Again, there are many more mistakes other coaches would have done, I've done. And these are three things I wanted to highlight. Yeah. So I'll keep it to that level, Kumaresh. So any other questions? One more last question before I move on. Okay, let's move on. So how do you lead your own journey? How can we lead our own journey as a coach? Because as I mentioned, because of these confusions on consulting versus coaching, whether, is there a real need for coaching, whether people want coaching, and what do they expect out of you, which no one tells you when they hire you, and you will also probably not bother to really figure out what do they expect. And sometimes there'll be surface level. Oh, you got to train some teams on Scrum, or you got to train some teams on blah, 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 design thinking or leadership skills. But that's not coaching, right? That's probably solutioning, consulting. So because of that, the whole journey you have to figure it out. So that's why leading your journey is more of an entrepreneurial journey, right? No one teaches you. You got to jump in and learn. And every person's journey could be unique from that perspective. So before I want to describe the coaching journey, right? Although it has a mixture of other things, I want to focus on coaching. Let's come to a common page on what is coaching. And I'm going to share my perspective, and you guys can, agree, disagree, and share your own perspective if you don't agree with this. So I have a video, 5 minutes video to watch. Before I do that, let me just take 1 or 2 inputs from you guys. What, according to you, is coaching? Give me a one-liner in the chat.
So the coach will help you to think through the your problems, and it will accelerate to find the solution from the coaching.
Helping people to realize their potential.
Yeah, helping them to realize their potential. Yeah, good. One more answer. Yeah, so Kumaresh, help people to become a better version of themselves. Nagesh is evoking awareness in the client. Yeah, great. Arun.
Sorry, JP, can I quickly add one?
Yes, please. Yeah. Please.
Am I audible? Sorry, I couldn't type. See, I don't have a definition, but I used to think cricketers who acquire experience, they become coaches. But here, everyone becomes coach, but they're not expertise in the field they are into. So yeah. I don't have an answer, but I'm slightly not convinced with the way people say Agile Coach. That's my view.
Yeah, that's very quite valid, actually, quite common. And again, one more thing to which adds to that confusion is, if you relate yourself with a sports coach, right? Many of the sport coaches were sportsmen themselves. A football coach was a great football player, and cricket coach was a great cricketer, and so on. And that brings a question: if you want to be a coach, should you have done that profession yourself, or have you, for example, if you are a software coach, should you have developed the software yourself? In the software industry, knowledge industry, I don't agree with that. You don't need to have done that profession or work yourself to be a coach, because I'm talking about general coaching, right? I'm not talking about agile coaching and other stuff. A coach is a coach is a coach, and let's figure that out. Okay, so now it's the time to play that video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop sharing and reshare with sound here, and I can play the video. Okay, one moment, and I will also open my video. Okay, so let me reshare with the computer sound. And here is a video. Let's play. This is a 4 minutes video.
The saying, give a man a fish and you feed him for a day, teach a man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime, I truly believe relates to leadership. As a leader, do you ever find that an awful lot of your day is answering people's questions and solving people's problems, even though actually you have a suspicion they probably could do that themselves? And as leaders, we do have experience and we do have knowledge that is absolutely fine to share with others in the right situation. However, are we really helping people? So in fact, when we do give advice and share our experiences, are we in fact feeding them just for the day, so they will come back another day? What we want to do, of course, is to teach them to fish. But by just feeding them, we're also probably feeding something in ourselves. I know that I have a real need for recognition and also to be needed. And that helps me in an awful lot of aspects of my life. But in leadership and coaching, it can be a real hindrance. When somebody asks me for my advice, I absolutely love that. I'm helping them, aren't I? But in essence, I'm really just truly filling a need in myself. So when I came across really what coaching was all about, which is giving somebody else the capacity to solve their own problems by getting them to explore their own situation, that really did enlighten me as to what we can do for other people. So rather than feeding me, it's all about that person. I came across a story a number of years ago which really helps me relate and think about what I'm doing to help other people. And that's the story of a man who came across a butterfly cocoon. And the man came across this cocoon and saw the small hole and the butterfly struggling to get through this small hole. And he was absolutely fascinated with this butterfly's struggle. And as he watched it, he was curious as to how the butterfly was going to manage to get through this minute hole. He went away, and a few hours later he came back, and the butterfly was still trying to struggle through the hole. He watched, thinking, what could he do to help? He felt for the butterfly and wanted to do something. But again, he went away, hoping that when he returned, that the butterfly would have flown away. So when he did return, to his dismay, the butterfly was still trying to struggle through the hole and looked like it was almost giving up. And he could not hold himself back. So he wanted to help the butterfly so much, he took a pair of scissors and he cut through the cocoon. And out came the butterfly with ease. But to his absolute horror, instead of the butterfly that he expected, the butterfly had an engorged body and withered wings. Because the man, in his haste to help, did not realise that the struggle for the butterfly to get through the hole in the cocoon actually serves to force the fluid from its body into its wings, so it can be fully formed to fly as a butterfly should. So that story stays with me and helps remind me of when I'm leading and coaching as to what I can do in service for other people. So I challenge you as leaders to, next time, before you dive in and give advice, is to think about how much pleasure you get from solving problems, and instead give the greatest gift of giving that other person the pleasure of solving their own problem. By asking great questions, getting them to explore their situation, and more importantly, it's about patience. Waiting whilst, in fact, the person probably struggles to their own solution. Because great leaders are surrounded by beautiful butterflies.
For more videos and information about Bluepoint, visit.
Okay, so that was the most relatable explanation about coaching, which was I could relate based on my own experience, and that's where the patience kind of a need. I realized that in order to be a good coach, that means in order to be helping really people, what you guys mentioned, we got to have a lot of patience. You have to let people struggle when they need to struggle, right? Don't just make it easy. Don't just go and solve, because in that hasty moments, you're actually feeding your own needs. The day we realize this, the coach in us will be born. And I don't know when the coach in myself was born, but he's born. And I'm still, discovering in the journey. And my realization was related to this and also quite deeper than this. So that's why I wanted to I made an attempt to make my own definition, which is more or less similar, but slightly deeper. Because this explanation and many other explanation, it focuses on solving problems. And for me, solving problems is a function of how a person can express themselves, whether it's sharing their opinion, talking about their points assertively, asking challenging question or challenging some thoughts, all of that, right? That's deep, that's fundamental, that's human beings related. So that's why, according to me, coaching is an endeavor of creating space and environment for the person being coached so they can express themselves fully and openly. And if we can create this through our coaching conversation, they can not only solve the problems, they can lead initiatives, they can grow others, they can do wonders, right? So that's why I wanted to take this as a deeper definition. And its success, in my experience, lies in allowing the person to explore their own situations in such a way that they discover newer possibilities while dealing with those situations. So it could be a possibility after solving a problem, possibility after creating something with others, co-creating something with others, but a possibility which never existed for them before. If we can do that, then it's kind of gives me a indication that my coaching is being useful to the other person, right? In fact, coaching itself is a co-creation between the coach and the person being coached. And that was my definition. So with this common grounding on coaching, now let's come to the leading a journey part. I'm just taking a look at the time. Yes, I have sufficient time. So the reason why I brought this elephant picture, in my mother tongue, Kannada, there is a saying that, Aane nadidide dari. In English, it translates to the way an elephant walks becomes the path or the road, right? You don't create roads for the elephants, they create the roads themselves. And for me, as a coach with that definition, no one tells you how to go about doing this. No school of thought, no coaching certifications for that matter. You can definitely learn from coaches, other leaders, okay, who are operating with coaching mindset. But then you got to discover and create your own path. And hence, I would like to recommend these 3 recommendations for leading our journey powerfully and happily, right? Someone asked, how to be happy and still coaching, right? If you want to lead that journey powerfully and happily, these are my recommendations. So one is be a creator and a co-creator, right? So which means be a self-starter, self-motivator. You have to be your own benchmark. You have to treat your work as craftsman. And that's why, most of the times, I spend a lot of night outs to create content. Even though I would have read and learned from many people, I want to create content in the context of my client. Whether it's one person, whether it's a team, whether their leadership, the team members, or some vendors or partners, depending on the exact context, I usually create content. Hence, if I facilitate a retrospective, every instance of a retrospective will be generally unique. That's what I aspire for. And I design every instance of an agile ritual or a leadership meeting or a conversation or a workshop, and I take help of others, but I usually set my own benchmarks and self motivate. And for us to be a creator and a co-creator, we must master the human relationship management, because we're dealing with humans who have emotions and feelings and so on. We're not dealing with resources per se, right? And human resources is the most abused stuff in the overall industry, I would say. So humans are humans, right? They're not resources. The pen and the paper and the sticky note are resources, but not humans. And they operate under certain contexts. The context could be from the family, from the emotions, from the office, corporate politics, and so on. So unless we learn how to manage the human relationship, we can't co-create with people, right? And if we cannot co-create with people, we cannot create any value through our coaching. So that's my first recommendation. Second is be an entrepreneur, because the world that you enter in the name of Agile Coach or Business Agility Coach, Leadership Coach, XYZ Coach, it's not a green garden where you just go and pluck some roses and beautiful flowers. It's a world quite complex with exponential changes happening, a lot of politics happening for good reasons and bad reasons. So unless you embrace that entrepreneurship mindset, right? And the capabilities of entrepreneur, unless we develop, like political management, negotiation, problem solving, these three are absolute. And this is where my entrepreneurship journey along with coaching journey kind of helped, it rubbed with each other. All my lessons from an entrepreneur journey helped me be an effective coach, and so on. And lastly, this is again a great realization, and I wanted to provide this as a recommendation. We have to differentiate ourselves. I think there was a mistake here. Differentiate yourself as a coach, and these are the three important things. Normally, we make mistakes when you're a coach, and if you can overcome those mistakes, you'll be differentiated as a coach. And this I learned when I went through Marshall Goldsmith Stakeholder Center coaching education for executive leaders. And this is absolutely useful for me to stay differentiated and reach the people who need real coaching, and only interact with them, engage with them, and discard all the distractors along the journey. And that's why I'm able to stay focused. So these three sentences are golden sentences if you want to differentiate yourself as a coach. Many of us make these mistakes, because we don't realize that our clients care about their results, not your coaching. This is the same thing that lady said. If you make coaching to fulfill your needs as a leader, as a coach, then clients don't care. You got to focus on the client's results. Clients care about their experience, the user experience when you try to coach, and not your service, right? You might have n number of services packaged in different marketing lingo, but they care about how they feel your service, how they experience. And clients care about their return on investment and not your fees. So don't ever go into this game of coaching, billing rate. Some guys, works this, that, don't get there. If client sees the value in your approach, in your service, they don't even talk about fees, because you are helping them get their return on investment, which they are going to put on you as a coach to help themselves, right? So a separate session can be done on this. This is very, very deep, but this is constantly helping me to reflect myself. How am I doing as a coach? How effective am I doing? Am I failing in any of these things, right? So that's a bit of tips I wanted to share, and maybe we'll address them at the end. Now the last part, maybe I'll take another 2 minutes and then we can go into Q&A. What's possible? There's a whole realm of possibilities. In fact, they are infinite if you're in the creation game and the co-creation game as a coach. Some of you would have, started as agile coaches, or maybe planning to start as agile coaching, right? There's agile coaching, and if you're agile coaching in a large organization where there is a lot of hierarchy, bureaucracy, the mid-management and leadership definitely need to be coached if you want to bring organizational agility, business agility. Without coaching them, without educating them, there is no way teams are going to flourish and produce end-to-end agility. There might be team level, temporary agility, maybe a part of the value stream. So these probably are two things that you might be familiar. Some of you might be, might have heard about life coaching, which is another form, and it takes a different shape. And all these bubbles, what I'm showing here, these are something that I've come across. There are great people who are really good and experts, and I'm learning from them every day. That's why I'm highlighting them. There is a whole discipline called product discovery coaching. Teresa Torres is an example. She's a great coach who helps people discover customers, discover their products, discover the problems to be solved even before you go into solution. There is product innovation coaching, technical agility coaching, which I was doing it myself for a long time. And along the way, somewhere, I felt that it's not the agile coaching which we have to really focus on. It's agility. And agile, that capital agile, is just a noun and a buzzword which was formed in 2001, in that manifesto, 2002 or one, I think 2002. But agility exists ever since the creation of this world and human beings, and agility exists still today, and it will be there. it's the agility. So I just shifted my focus. And when we talk about agility, we are talking about agility at people, agility at teams, agility at organization, agility in all functions, right? And in some other webinar or speak conference, I've spoken what agility is and even technical agility. So I would like to focus myself on agility coaching. Agile is just one way of enabling agility coaching, but there are many ways. And with that start, my last stint here, which I'm still doing along with great supporters. One of them is in the webinar here, Kumaresh, hardware agility coaching. So we are exploring this. How do we really help? Because every manufacturing organization across this world is forced to go agile, meaning be agile, not really deploy agile, right? Or not really implement, but just being agile at organization level in a hardware company is even more complex because of mental blocks and because of the nature of work. But it's quite deep and it's happening, and it's going to disrupt the world, disrupt the manufacturing industries and so on. So these are all some of the possibilities I've seen. There are many more which you would have probably seen, and I would love to hear from you guys. So this is where I wanted to pause and maybe take a couple of questions if you have. Yeah, feel free to throw some questions.
So thank you, JP and Nagesh here for the wonderful session. Great insights from the session. So my question would be, I mean, this is most of us have this in our mind. So when we joined any organization as an agile coach, is it like we need to do a kind of a set of expectations or do an agreement that what is the expectation from this role? I mean, is it like a transformation in particular area, or is it something like maybe that would help, right? But most of the leaders in the initial stage, they don't tell this thing. This is what the expectation from the role. But after 6 months or 1 year, they feel like they are not utilizing the role, or else they are not gaining any return on investment on the particular role. So what is your experience, and how we can address this challenge when we join new organization as a coach?
Yeah, thanks, Nagesh. I think that's very much true for all of us here. And most of the clients don't say what they expect from you. Even if they say, they use some buzzwords like transformation, that, this, blah, blah, blah. So definitely, I think you asked two questions. One is, should we actually confirm or try to clarify? Yes, we need to do, otherwise you will waste your time. So if you respect your time, entrepreneurs respect their time. So you got to get clarification. You try to do that, and you try to seek that clarification. Most of the times they won't have. So usually in such situation, the second part is, how do I manage? I say that, let's focus on next 3 months. And if they can't focus on next 3 months, I'll bring them to 1 month. What do you want to achieve? What do we want to achieve in next 1 month or 3 months? I usually ask them. And then they say something, blah, blah, blah. And my next question is, why do you want to do this? What's the long-term value you're looking at? So I at least try to get the short-term focus and the long-term why. Sometimes people manage to get that, but sometimes people even struggle for that. Then I offer them, okay, since you're not in a complete clarity here, how about this? Let's spend next 1 month having some interaction, meeting your teams and so on, and let's co-create a coaching backlog. Let's create it together and see what we want to do beyond a month. So I usually offer that only if they agree for that. In such situation, I proceed. Otherwise, I reject. I say that, you're probably not ready, or you're not clear on what you want to expect. And I don't want to waste my time, and neither my time nor your time. That's how I handle that, Nagesh. I hope it helps.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the inputs.
Yeah. Any other question?
So, good evening, JP. I have one question.
Yes,
I am currently playing the role of Agile Coach.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, I can say, my journey is like, from initially I started with testing, and then I was doing product owner role for some time, and then I became Scrum Master and I became Agile Coach. Okay, so how do you see from 4 to 5 years, how this role will be evolving? So probably from your perspective, so how this coaching agile, I am specifically first of all asking how this agile coaching role will be evolving, is whether there will be any need for that. So that is my first question. So second thing, no, if I want to enhance, right? So myself, in the coaching, right? So not only restricting to agile coaching, but also lifelong. If I want to do this coaching role, in what ways I can enhance myself in the coaching area? So these are my two questions. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Harihara, for that question. So, if you specifically talk about agile coaching, will it be relevant? Will it be needed? How long will it be needed? As long as agility is needed, agile coaching will be there, because it's not so much about agile coaching. In fact, agile coaching for the agility needs is more needed for leadership more than the teams, because today's teams are very open-minded, and they're quite enterprising in nature. They want to explore and so on. But when they join large organizations, or even a startup for that matter, that whole chemistry of that organization design can enable or disable those that energy in the teams, and that's a function of the organization design, and that's the reflection of the organization culture, which is a reflection of leadership and management. And when I did Marshall Goldsmith coaching about a few years back, maybe about 4 years back, there was a statistics based on the survey across global leaders that at that point, 4 years back, only 8% of the global leadership roles, especially executive leaders, were effective in their role as a leader. Rest of the 92% required coaching. That's why Marshall Goldsmith has chosen to spread this coaching knowledge unlimitedly until he dies. So 8% of the leadership is only effective, 92% needs coaching. Now, when we talk about agility needs, you cannot achieve organizational agility without leaders leading their own personal transformation, which requires coaching. And so do teams need coaching, and mid-managers need coaching. Hence, it will be relevant because agility is becoming more than a necessity today, and the pandemic has proven that, right? For the whole globe, and that's why you see many organizations jumping into it. So, agile coaching as a profession, but it might be in the different names like business agility coaching, leadership coaching, blah blah blah. But you're a coach. Once you're a coach, and you can coach teams, you can coach individuals, you can coach managers, leaders, you can coach an organization and their partners. In whatever settings, we can coach. So agile coaching will be there as a profession. And a tip for you is, having explored all those roles, start your focus on coaching as a profession. It will be helpful in all the settings, in all the titles for that, because coaching is not a title, it's a role, right? It's a profession, as you understand. Yep. So
JP, can you please touch on life coaching? Some more
life
details.
coaching, I'm not an expert. One of my friends and Vijay's friends called Manju is has more experience there. But what I understood from that is, many people are struggling in life to grow, and all this happiness, work-life balance, blah blah blah. And life coaching is a profession where you can help such people, irrespective of whether which profession you come from, right? So, but I don't know much about that. But I know that it's a serious profession.
Thank you.
Can I ask one more question?
Vijay, do we have time for one or two more questions? I think it's 30.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
okay.
okay, yeah.
2 more minutes, please. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Please go
Okay.
ahead.
Speak about leadership coaching or executive coaching, right? So how to initiate? So basically, most of us speak about this, right? So being in a profession for quite a long time, still, I don't have a clear clarity on how these leaders can be coached. right? So when it comes to leaders, it is not with the framework, right? So you cannot, go and teach the framework to the leaders. So how do you think that this can be enabled?
Yeah, it's a good question, and again requires a separate session. But just a quick answer for two things I want to point out here is, coaching leaders has nothing to do with the frameworks of Agile. Okay, that's very different. And coaching is more on the leadership mindset and leadership behaviors. And the first step of doing that or getting into that is creating an awareness, educating them on the need for a different mindset as a leader today, a need for different leadership behaviors, and how that is related to the complexity we are trying to deal with in today's world. If you can create that awareness, that starts engagement, and then rest is co-creation, right? There is nothing called here is the leadership coaching module A, module B, and who is ready? No one would come. In fact, they will have tons of ego. So you have to deal with that. Yeah, that was a short answer.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, okay. So thank you, JP. On behalf of everyone here, I would like to thank you so much, especially coming on a Saturday evening to all of you, rather. So like people coming from Africa to US to Singapore to, I mean, everyone here to Canada and all over India. So thank you so much, guys. And we have created this YouTube channel. So we will be presenting this particular recording on Monday. So you'll have this live recording on Monday. We also created a global agile community group, and that in the chat, if you see, there is a link to that. You can join there. So grades like I won't call great, but friends like agile friends like JP and so many people are there. We would be helping each other. So please join that group. And yeah, thank you so much. Please join every Saturday, same time, same location.
Yeah, thanks, Vijay. Thanks everyone for showing up here and participating. Yeah, great to
Thanks,
see you.
JB. It was a good session. Thanks
Yeah,
for sharing.
yeah.